Dispatch, mayday, mayday, mayday.
A massive explosion levels 3 businesses, knocks firefighters and a KOMO photographer to the ground.
And the cameraman who was next to me was saying, run as fast as you can.
And rocks an entire neighborhood.
They literally shook us out of bed.
This is insane. Air 4 is live over the blast zone right now, and just minutes ago, investigators confirmed this explosion was accidental, caused by a natural gas leak. Crews were responding to reports of that leak early this morning when the explosion happened. 9 firefighters were injured. All were treated and released. And in addition to the 3 businesses destroyed, more than 30 others suffered damage to some extent. Good evening. I'm Molly Shen in the KOMO studio.
And I'm Eric Johnson, live in the Greenwood neighborhood that was devastated by the impact of that explosion early this morning. When you see this thing up close, and I'm going to have you pan over here and take a look at what's behind me. When you look at it closely for the first time, 2 things strike you right off the bat. Number one, the sheer massive destructive force of a natural gas explosion. There were 3 businesses where what you're looking at used to be. 3 businesses, the Greenwood Quick Stop, the Neptune Coffee Shop, Mr. Euro's Sandwich Shop, and they no longer exist. They have been wiped from the face of this neighborhood. The force is truly something to behold. The other thing I think that you notice here that comes to mind immediately is just how lucky we are and that this neighborhood is, because this happened at 1:42 in the morning. Had it happened at 1:42 in the afternoon, the human toll would have been massive. Those businesses would have been full of people, workers, customers. People would have been walking down this very busy boulevard. Cars would have been driving through. We could have had a much, much more devastating story to tell you about. Many angles to this story to tell you about. We're going to cover all of them for you. We have Team 4 coverage on the explosion, the businesses that have been destroyed and impacted and reduced to rubble, the injured firefighters, and of course the impact of this entire neighborhood. Joining me right now is Michelle Esteban. And Michelle, you've been here all day long. You've been seeing what's been going on here. You have new information for us, is that right?
Absolutely. Just talked to the Seattle Fire Department, and we now know that the gas leak, the source of that, came from outside the building. We have been reporting since our 4 o'clock hour that the cause is indeed accidental, but it has been nearly a 16-hour operation, and before we get to the bottom of this, the state, the UTC, maybe even the NTSB is going to have to come in and help us investigate the cause.
Dispatch, mayday, mayday, mayday. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Battalion 6, I need a full response to 213 North 85th Street. I have firefighters missing.
That was just seconds after the blast came without warning, so fierce that not 1, but 3 businesses are now obliterated. 7 long minutes later, all 9 Seattle firefighters were accounted for. Only minor injuries, but some clearly rattled after coming so close to so much destruction.
And then he went out and he called me moments later to say, the Quick Mark, Mr. Euro's and Neptune Coffee are gone.
Sammy Rashid owns Mr. Heroes. He raced to the scene in his pajamas to find his 15-year business gone.
Wow, just shocked. Hasn't sunk in yet, still numb.
Apparently, firefighters never saw it coming either. Just 30 minutes prior, they rolled on scene, responding to a gas leak called near Greenwood and 84th. Our camera was here too. 1 minute, firefighters were walking the building's perimeter. The next, they were thrown back by the blast.
This is insane.
The fire chief says when firefighters couldn't find the natural gas leak, they called Puget Sound Energy for help. While they waited for PSE, firefighters continued searching.
That is in our protocol. So this happens, and we take the proper steps, and all of our firefighters did that.
While the investigation continues and the mayor reassures the neighborhood it's not alone.
We will be back and bigger and better than ever.
Now, I asked PSC about the maintenance of that line, the history here in the neighborhood, all information that they tell me that they will pass on to investigators. We did just learn within the last 20 minutes that the damage is here, $3 million, 3 businesses, because all 3 of them shared common walls. We'll stay on top of this. Reporting live, I'm Michelle Esteban. Eric, send it back to you.
Thank you very much. Great information. Of course, it wasn't just those 3 businesses that were destroyed that were impacted. Many other businesses. In fact, a block away, if you're driving on Greenwood Avenue, you can see the windows completely blown out of storefront after storefront. KOMO's Cale Thompson has been following this story since 3 o'clock this morning. Cale, tell us what you've learned about these other businesses that have been impacted.
We learned this afternoon, Eric, 36 businesses in all with at least some sort of damage. Many of those owners meeting with investigators and inspectors this afternoon. And here, some, like the Gorditas building, at least part of it, red tagged, meaning it is unsafe to enter.
They said we had to leave because of possible structural damage.
Theo Zelak is waiting to board up his bookshop about a block from the site of Wednesday morning's massive explosion and 3 blocks from his own home.
And there was a huge orange glow, and then there started to be white paper cups raining down like huge snowflakes.
The force of that blast shattered windows for blocks and woke up entire neighborhoods for miles.
I just feel heartbroken that this has happened to all these small businesses.
Among my first thoughts were, there goes our hopes and dreams.
Davey Oil spent the day waiting to get inside his G&O family cyclery, the storefront in shambles and right next door to the blast.
Mr. Euro's, the Quick Stop, and Neptune Coffee are all destroyed, total.
For us, fortunately, it's just a big mess. For the poor people down the street, I mean, it's huge. Their building's gone.
We watched as the manager of the Chocolati Cafe took a break from sweeping glass to pour hot coffee for exhausted firefighters before sunrise. Neighbors helping neighbors in a tight-knit community where just about every small business owner knows each other, and nobody knows just what will happen next.
Reopen. You know, I can't even think that far in the future. I just have to get the plywood up tonight, so I haven't really even thought about that. I'm just in the here and now moment with things.
In fact, the focus for Zelak and many other business owners tonight is just getting their property secured before the sun sets and the rain gets any worse. We're live here in Greenwood. Cale Thompson. Eric, we'll send it back to you.
Cale, thank you very much. Such a vibrant and fun neighborhood this is, and the impact of this explosion is huge, and the ripple effect will be continued to be felt. A GoFundMe account has been set up to help some of the businesses that have been affected by the explosion and also the workers who won't be taking home a paycheck for a while. The goal was to raise $20,000. Guess what? That goal has already been reached. They're over the $20,000 mark. The total will continue to climb. So many generous people out there. We're going to go back now to Molly Shen in the studio for more on this continuing coverage. Molly?
Boy, great to see the community rally like that. Eric, thank you. Not only did that blast damage nearby businesses, it damaged homes and apartments, and it shook up a lot of sleepy people who awoke thinking a bomb had gone off. KOMO's Matt Markovich has their story. Matt?
Well, Molly, the city has not given us an official estimate of how many homes and apartment buildings have been damaged, but we've seen dozens and dozens of broken windows. Fortunately, nobody's been injured, but take a look at what's happening right here. There's the blast zone, which was left of the Neptune Cafe and the Greenwood Quick Stop, but coming over here, right across the street, is the Dean Apartments, and nearly every window of this place is blown out.
Scared the crap out of me this morning.
It was something that I've never heard before.
It's something Greenwood has never seen before, especially the residents of the Dean Apartments right across the street from the blast.
They literally shook us out of bed.
I was just stunned, and I couldn't understand what had happened.
Every window facing the explosion blew out, and fortunately, the laws of physics saved lives.
But the windows blew out into the alley rather than inwards.
I kind of woke up and looked outside and just saw like all those businesses just leveled.
Chris and Desiree didn't know what happened.
So many things run through your mind, whether it's like,
stay down, like somebody was going to maybe come through the streets with a gun.
And I was just like, yeah, stay down, let's stay calm, let's stay in here, keep the lights off. Like I had just no idea what was going on.
Susan's cat is so traumatized, it wouldn't come out from under the dresser.
And then I started hearing sirens. And the sirens just kept going and going and going.
People still have the shakes.
It was really intense to feel something like that.
I'm just very grateful that we're all okay and that we survived.
And if you take a look at some of the glass, it's basically the single pane windows that were all blown out. Double pane windows that were near the blast, they survived. And there's still a lot of cleanup to go. Reporting live in Greenwood, Matt Markovich, KOMO News.
Boy, something to see. Matt, thank you. Back to those 9 firefighters who were already on the scene inspecting the gas leak. All of them, 8 men and 1 woman, were injured. KOMO's Mitch Pittman has been looking into their stories all day. Mitch, how are they doing tonight?
Well, Molly, this is the fire station behind me where all of them work. The injuries that we know of range from scratches to stitches, but the remarkable thing is that all the firefighters have been treated and released from the hospital.
Each day, they head out into the unknown. Sometimes a fire, sometimes a heart attack. This time, an instant of terror that knocked 300-pound men on their backs.
I'm very surprised that our firefighters were not seriously injured.
After the initial explosion came the shower of debris, a hellish rain of 2x4s, glass, and splinters from the sky.
9 of them have put their lives on the line and to serve this community, and I want them to know that they've done a great job.
All 9 injured on scene came from Station 21, just a little ways down Greenwood Avenue, where their fellow firefighters washed down the equipment they used to protect their neighborhood last night.
Our house moved more than a little bit.
Deborah Thompson not only lives close enough to feel the explosion, she's close enough to feel the impact to those who watch over them.
They're the defenders of Greenwood. They're our firefighters.
To know they're okay.
That seems like impossible. So I'm thrilled. It's great.
I'm proud of the work that they did. They knew what they were doing out here tonight.
Just the fact that one of the injured firefighters could crack a smile outside the hospital this morning, a bright spot in this otherwise dismal day.
The fire department says it will look into whether protocol was followed, but as of right now, it appears they did everything right, which they say is a big reason nothing worse happened. Reporting live, Mitch Pittman, KOMO News.
Well, we're all grateful they're doing so well. Mitch, thank you. Check out this symbol of support for the firefighters and for the business owners and workers. School kids from nearby Greenwood Elementary came out onto the yard this morning and formed that giant heart. The teacher who organized it called it a teaching moment, a way for kids to learn about community support.
I'm Eric Johnson, live here in Greenwood. I want you to take another look at the devastation that used to be 3 businesses. They no longer exist. This is a beehive of activity here. Fire crews, utility crews, investigators hard at work, business fronts being boarded up where the windows were blown out. One important question we're asking tonight, were PSC crews delayed in shutting off gas in the area because valves were underneath the street? That's a question KOMO investigator John Humbert has been trying to answer this afternoon. John?
Well, when we talked to a number of investigators, Eric, we wanted to know, of course, what kind of valves were being used. That's what they want to know now, and also, more importantly, when they were inspected. But we asked the question, how fast of a response can you have in an emergency when you have to excavate underneath Greenwood Ave? Jackhammers in the street in the middle of an emergency. It was an odd sight this morning as crews worked to shut off 6 key gas valves to the Greenwood area. PSC said this one under the street was the final valve, shut down nearly 5 hours after the explosion.
A lot more information will come to light.
Anna Gill with the Utilities and Transportation Commission was part of the inspection crew from Olympia. Their job now, hands-on investigation and pouring through records
To determine whether or not the company followed all state and federal pipeline safety rules.
6 valves were shut down, but no one can say which of them are the so-called emergency valves.
So these can be used to shut down a large area in an event such as this to ensure that the gas flow stops.
The valves have to be inspected every 15 months. Not easy when they have to be dug up, and tougher still in an emergency like this morning. SDOT is working on supplying us with the history of permits to do that digging. PSC also couldn't say which valves are which, but they will have to tell inspectors. The paper trail of pipes that ended an explosion now under investigation. Now, UTC is going to help with finding more into the cause of this, exactly how this occurred. Think of them sort of as the NTSB in this situation, digging into some of those clues and looking through a number of records, but also holding the people in charge accountable. Eric?
Interesting, John. Thank you very much. Of course, so many questions left unanswered at this point about what exactly triggered this explosion, how it precisely unfolded. We're going to stay on top of this investigation every step of the way with the KOMO News Network and get up-to-the-minute developments, of course, right here on KOMO News, on KOMO News Radio, and online at KOMOnews.com. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Eric. Another big story today, the weather. The rain is continuing to pour. Take a look at the current radar. All those areas in the yellows and oranges, that's heavy rainfall, and it's beginning to add up. In addition, we have a high wind warning over on the coast and in the North Sound areas, and we're also having a winter weather advisory in effect up in the Cascades. So there's lots of things we'll be watching, including potential coastal flooding. I'll give you more detail on all of that and your 7-day outlook. That's coming up a bit later in the program.
And next at 5, safety for school kids. What local district leaders are doing tonight to help protect children from strangers.
Just more than 24 hours to go before the end of the regular legislative session. Several key bills just got passed. What's hanging in the balance?
Fly on a private jet for free. How one couple pulled it off and how they say you can too. When KOMO News continues. Student safety will be the focus of a community meeting in West Seattle tonight. School officials and police officers are hosting the gathering. They plan to share safety tips with students, teachers, and parents. The meeting comes just a few weeks after an attempted luring was reported in the neighborhood. Parents we talked to say it's important everyone stay watchful.
I think as long as we're aware of it and we keep talking to our children about it and we keep conscious about looking around what's going on in the neighborhood, I think it's going to be all right. Tonight's meeting will be held at South High School Library at 7 o'clock. Major victories in drunk driving legislation, transportation, and trooper pay as the legislature approaches the final day of the regular session. The charter school bill is now being debated. KOMO's Keith Eldridge reports an overtime special session is looming large.
Improvements to handling congestion on the I-405 corridor are among the enhancements approved today in the state's overall transportation budget.
To make sure that that corridor will work better.
And to try to make sure there are enough troopers on the roads to keep traffic flowing. An additional 5% raise on top of last year's 7%, but still lagging behind police and sheriff's departments. Representative Dave Hayes is a Snohomish County Sheriff's Sergeant.
We've poached 6 or 8 troopers over the past few years. And they come to us because we pay more.
And it's gotten so bad, Mr. Speaker, that really questions whether we have enough troopers on the road to protect our citizens.
The transportation and trooper enhancement bills passed overwhelmingly.
It's declared passed.
Earlier this week, several families hit hard by DUI crashes urged passage of several bills.
I don't want other families to have to go through what my family has gone through.
One of their 2 key bills was just brought up on the Senate floor to bolster existing DUI laws.
And the fellow served his sentence and recently was arrested again for a DUI.
The bill received a unanimous vote.
Title of the bill, title of the act.
But the bill to lower the threshold for a DUI felony from 5 down to 4 in 10 years is still up in the air, even though the families had a chance to personally make their points with the House Budget Chair and the Speaker of the House. All this happening with 1 day to go in the regular session and a special session looming large, which would start on Friday. In Olympia, Keith Eldridge, KOMO News.
Boeing scored a big order from United Airlines. United is buying 25 new 737-700 jets. That's on top of 40 it ordered in January. The orders will help United fly larger, more efficient aircraft and reduce the size of its 50-seat regional fleet. The way you buy gift cards is changing. Retailers are now on the hook for fraudulent purchases. So to protect themselves, many stores are now asking for cash or limiting how many gift cards you can buy in a 24-hour span. Fraudulent gift card purchases cost retailers nearly $4 billion in 2014. Samsung's new Galaxy S7 and S7 Edge hit stores Friday, and reviews are positive. Some say the phones are as close to perfect as any smartphone ever built. New features include expandable storage and water resistance. Seattle has a new mega millionaire. Someone hit the Mega Millions jackpot last night. They haven't come forward yet. The winning ticket was sold at this 7-Eleven in West Seattle. It's on 35th Avenue Southwest. The buyer hit all 6 numbers, and that's worth $157 million before taxes. So here are those winning numbers: 27, 37, 54, 66, 69, and the mega ball is 5. That winner has until September 4th to claim the prize. You'll want to check your numbers. Steve, nothing would brighten up a dreary day quite like $157 million.
Yeah, the sun would be shining brightly regardless of what's happening outside. Let's take another look at the rainfall. It's definitely the story and some of the other things we've discussed. A rather soggy looking Seattle. Let's give you the details right now. It's 47 degrees, southeasterly wind. Rain obviously beginning to pile up in the rain gauges. These are the temperatures right now, so you can pick out what's happening close to where you live, and you've got basically the idea. So we're going to continue to see the steady rain tonight. It will taper off, but it's going to take a while. And you look at some of these rain totals. There's some areas that are closing in on an inch of rainfall. Now look at Bremerton there, actually even over an inch of rain in the last 24 hours. So that's really significant. Tonight we're going to see it slowly taper off, the rain that is, and then it'll turn to more scattered showers, and that's the way we expect to start off our day tomorrow. High temperatures, or temperatures when you head out the door, will be pretty much in the mid to upper 40s. Now let's use a futurecast so you can see how all of this is going to play out tomorrow. There's still a lot of moisture left around, but it's turning more to scattered showers by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. And once we go into the afternoon and evening hours, even less in the way of showers. So that's a good way to describe our day. Scattered showers, which will gradually decrease as we go along. High temperatures tomorrow ranging from about 50 to 53 degrees, a little cooler to the north than it will be to the south. So for example, if you live up there in Bellingham, figure 50 for your high, and the upper 40s in places like Victoria and Port Angeles. We've got about 52 for you in Bremerton on the Kitsap Peninsula, 54 down in Olympia, so slightly warmer there. You should start to get a break on the coast as well. You're going to go from the hard and really fast winds that you're getting right now to just breezy conditions, so a little more palatable for you. And for the commutes tomorrow, the morning commute, more so on the wet side. Evening commute, probably turning to more scattered showers, and things are looking a little bit better. Finally, up in the mountains, we've got about 4,000 feet on the snow level. Afternoon past temperatures in the 30s. And remember, there is a winter weather advisory in the mountains, so you want to make sure that you're prepared if you're headed in that direction. So here's the bottom line. We've got you at about 47 degrees for the low tonight, so we're not going to drop all that much more. Tomorrow, we turn to more scattered showers and give ourselves a chance to just kind of take a deep breath. All right, here's your 7-day outlook so you can see how that's shaping up. We continue to have a chance of some moisture here going into the weekend, but I guess maybe one positive is that we get to spring ahead with the clocks there and get a little more daylight, especially in the afternoon and evening hours. All right, so there you go.
Be nice to have more sunshine when there is sunshine to be had.
Sunshine to be had, you bet.
Thank you, Steve.
Sure.
A flying economy will never feel the same again for one New York couple. Travel blogger Gilbert Ott and his wife recently flew from Boston to D.C. in a private jet without paying a penny. They combined online travel vouchers to score the free flight, which would have set them back $1,500. They say anyone can save big on airfare just by doing a little research.
There are opportunities every week, maybe not for a private jet, for a crazy cheap flight.
The couple suggests using sites like airfarewatchdog.com, theflightdeal.com, and then their own site, godsavethepoints.com. Coming up on KOMO News at 6 o'clock, it's the first day of NFL free agency. Which key players the Seahawks have already lost? Plus, the former Seahawk calling it a career. And your morning cup of coffee gives you more than just a quick pick-me-up. Why it might actually protect you from a serious liver disease. We'll be right back. There was quite a buzz in the air when the Kansas City Royals took on the Colorado Rockies in spring training last night. A swarm of bees took over the ball field in Surprise, Arizona. That was their surprise. Players and fans tried to stay calm, and officials began a plan to exterminate the bees. But Royals manager Ned Yost, who knows the bee population is declining, stepped in to save those bees. He convinced officials to bring in beekeepers, who then captured the bees in a bag and relocated them. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Our coverage of the Greenwood explosion continues at 6 o'clock. Meantime, World News Tonight is coming up next.